Hey guys, what's up? So today I wanted to talk about making things happen for you. One of the big things that I think everybody asks themselves is, how do I make things happen? Or really, people ask themselves, why did something not happen for me? And that could be in the case of maybe not making a good grade on a test, or not doing so well in an interview and not getting the job, or not getting a promotion. So typically what happens is people start asking themselves, why didn't I get this promotion? Or, man, I can't believe I didn't get this job. Or, I can't believe I failed this test. And a lot of things, I think, going through the mind, and you start telling yourself why. You start thinking, maybe I didn't do this because I'm no good, or whatever the case may be. It's a lot of negative thoughts that go into play when something happens like this. And a lot of the times what happens is it's really the failure of planning. And planning is very important. I think it's important to plan really everything out in life if you want to succeed at it. Or in the case of a test, if you want to get a good test, you have to plan on how you plan on getting that good grade. It's not just looking over notes, reading the chapters, or just listening to the lectures, or whatever the teacher, professor, instructor, or whatever the case may be is, and think that you're going to pass with a good grade. You really have to sit down and plan it out, what you're going to do, how you're going to study, what day, what time, how much amount of time you're going to put into it. It has to be structured that way so you have that plan of action. What happens is the mind starts to make it sort of a routine to know, okay, if I have to study for a test, these are the steps that I have to take. Or in a job interview, or getting a promotion, you have to understand, how am I going to set myself apart from all the other people that want the promotion or want the job? And if you don't plan, you're basically planning to fail. So that's what happens when you get passed up for a promotion, or maybe the job didn't go through and you didn't get the job. If you plan, if you understand, if you learn, for instance, for a job interview, it's important to know the company. What I see a lot of human resource managers do now is they kind of give you the guideline now. They tell you, learn about the company, try to find out how you fit in, what makes you different. So they give you step-by-step guidelines to try to make yourself stand out. And what happens is the people that get the jobs are the ones that are, really want it, are passionate about it, and do the most to understand the company and how they themselves will fit into that company and bring value to the company. Because that's the biggest thing. Each company can hire anybody. If they just need bodies, they can go and hire anybody without doing too much of an interview process. What they're looking for is somebody to provide value to that company, and it's mutual in a way, because you want that company to bring value to you, just like the company wants you to bring value to the company. It's not always about sales. Sales will be there if you're a really standout performer, and if it's something that you're passionate about and you really want to do, you're going to perform well. So it's good for the company, it's good for yourself. And same with the promotion. You have other people competing, and I see this a lot. And in the past experience, I've seen where people say, I want this promotion, and I ask them, what are you doing to prepare yourself for that promotion? How are you setting yourself apart from others? And usually the response is, well, you know what, I've done work in the past. And they start naming everything that they've done in the past, and without explaining how this promotion, how they're going to use that promotion to bring more value to the company. And I think that's important when looking to promote somebody. I've done it in the past, and that's what I look for. I would look for people to come in here and tell me, how are they going to improve in their new position, their new job title? How are they going to bring more value to that position and to the company? I'd say probably 90% of the time, people were naming their past achievements, which is important, but that was at the previous job title. I want to know what's going to make you different with your new job title. So planning is very, very important. And I tell everybody that I meet, make sure that you always have a plan. Get into the habit of planning, whether it's financial, for instance. You have to have a plan. You can't just say, I want to retire with $1 million or whatever your number is to retire. Well, how are you going to get there? What steps are you going to take? And understanding that planning to retirement is over the span of many years, 10, 20, 30 years, to get there. And understanding that you have to take those small steps. A lot of things that I run into is that people say, well, I want to retire with, $2 million. I'll use that as an example. And I ask them, okay, well, how do you plan to get there? And usually they say, well, I'm just going to save up, X amount of dollars. And when we calculate it, huge shortfall. And it surprises them. They start thinking, well, I'm never going to be able to retire. Maybe my numbers have to be lower. And usually it's not the case. It's the failure to actually put a plan in place and understand what steps you have to take to meet that goal. Sometimes, the goal is a little outrageous based on income, how much they're going to save, and what they've saved up, up until that point. But knowing that it can happen and knowing that you actually have to have a plan in place, that's really how it starts. You don't build wealth over, in a short period of time. It's a long process, and understanding that it's going to take a while makes it a little bit easier to see where all your hard-earned money and all your hard work is going to. And one of the things that I like to explain is that nobody can predict the market. As a matter of fact, when I first started in investments, and I've loved investments, I've done it since I was 18, and I studied in school and still study to this point. You can never learn enough, and there's always a new theory or a new method or a new setup, for instance, in day trading that say, hey, if you use this setup, you'll make X amount of dollars each day. The problem with that is there's a lot of risk involved. So I think it's important to have a plan, to have a strategy in everything that you do in order to make things happen for you. And you can apply that with anything, school, finance, whatever it is. Having a plan in place will help things, will give you the guidelines to follow. And once you use that so many different times, it becomes like a routine, second nature, and you can put a plan for everything. And chances are, in every job that you'll hold, there's always a plan in place. There's always something that has to happen in order to reach that goal or attain that goal. And sometimes they're just so subtle that you don't even realize what the goal or what the plan and the steps are. But if you do start to plan, things become a lot easier. So make sure when you're going out setting a goal, or you have something in mind that you want to achieve, or something coming up that you want to achieve, put a plan in place and really ask yourself. I like to ask myself different questions. For instance, if I wanted to pass a test, for instance, because I actually have a test pretty soon, is I ask myself, what grade do I want to make? And let's say I want to make a 90. Okay, and I ask myself, how am I going to get a 90? And I say, well, you know what, I study the material. Okay, what material are you going to study? Well, what we've gone over, lecture notes, everything in general. And then I ask myself, how long are you going to study? And so I put a time. This is how much I'm going to study each day. And then I ask myself, how long are you going to study? And just really getting down to where if I look at this sheet of paper or wherever I write it, what are my steps? I know exactly, okay, this week I'm going to study Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 45 minutes on these topics. So you want to break it down in order to take little steps to reach that end result. And one quick thing is, I see people, make sure that you take those little steps. Don't try to tackle this whole thing all at once, because that will overwhelm you, and you just get stressed out when you try to think, oh, well, I missed one day, I'll just study double that the next time. That usually never happens. You will end up, by chance, you may get that grade that you were looking for, but chances are, higher chances, is that you won't get the grade you were looking for because you try to take on too much and you didn't follow the plan. So make sure that you set a plan, you set the guidelines, and make sure that they're attainable little small steps. Little step by little step by little step will get you to that big picture, or the end result, which in my case would be a 90 on a test. So with that being said, just make sure that you do place a plan in. Always have a plan in place, I should say, with whatever you're trying to do or trying to accomplish. Very important. And so until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.